Welcome to Cooking with Madho. I'm in the bus, the 20A from Jamaica Station, heading to Flushing, Main Street. And I'm going to try to show you, when I reach in Flushing Main Street, a lot of foreign foods from Japan, Korea, and China. It promises to be riveting. In the heart of Flushing, Queens, close to the rail station, obliquely opposite from the library, the main library in Queens, I decided to visit a grocery that has been established for decades. And here I'm getting my exotic vegetables in order to make Chinese stir fry and Thai veg green curry. These vegetables may seem exotic to us, but the ones that I like are fruits that are sort of related to jackfruits that I just showed you. I had those in South Korea. I can't even remember the name now. It wasn't very popular, but more popular with old people. Things that look like guavas and pears, and I don't even know the names, but I've had these in South Korea and Japan. Chestnuts I'm more familiar with, so you can see the chestnuts kind of like châtaigne seed or katahar seed, different kinds of pears. The infamy of the durian fruit, the stinky fruit, was shown. Chestnuts are very popular in Chinese cuisine, but here we have a lot of fish, most likely coming from the Pacific, from the East China Sea, and I suspect perhaps the salmon that might be coming from the North Atlantic Sea. But the thing is, even though I don't eat these things, as we know they're very common in North Asia, we have the eel, reminiscent of a janji. I'm even showing you images of like conch shells, conchs and crabs that might be more familiar to people in the Caribbean, even though again, it's against my personal dietary requirements, but I'm aware that people do find a source of protein in fish. So this really just shows you what the Chinese community oftentimes buys. But let me show you my section, which is really the vegetable section. The usual suspect of vegetables, that is kochu, that is Korean chili pepper. On the left is what we might call jalapeno, and we have a variety of pakchoi, baby pakchoi that I'm going to buy to cook with. You have larger pakchoi, you have mustard greens, and also tofu or bean leaf that is used to create tofu. And we have, the popular kind of almost string beans that are used for cooking, stir fry. I use those green vegetables a lot, and I use tofu. We have sweet tofu, popular for sundubu jjigae, which is a popular Korean dish, but it could also be popular in shabu shabu, which is more popular in terms of Sichuan cuisine. And then we have stinky tofu. We have fermented tofu that is very popular for digestion purposes throughout Asia, particularly Japan, and amongst the older generations of South Koreans and North Koreans as well, I was told. We have two different kinds of seaweeds here. Seaweeds are very popular to create soup and fresh tofu. Mothers, when they are pregnant, use seaweed a lot to give strength, not just for themselves, but for the baby. It's a popular superstition in the north and south of Korea and in China, South China. We have the usual suspects of noodles here, not the classic brand names, but mainly Chinese. I'm not seeing a lot of the Korean noodles because, again, this shop is most likely of Chinese origin. So noodles are something that vary depending on the territory. We know a lot of spices happen with the Japanese and the Korean noodles. And I'm just showing you walking around some of my favorite shops here. This is a #1 Taiwanese bakery where they make a lot of pastry items and coffee, and that is actually like a mixer that the lady is cleaning. And they make a lot of dough based on different kinds of very hygienic condition of the lady cooking a lot of buns or mandu, Korean style mandu, Japanese style buns, Chinese buns as well. On the side streets are very obvious. We have a huge mall that I'm not going to show you that has a massive food court. It's really like a Japanese center and Japanese emporium of cuisine, as well as Korean, Thai, and Indonesian. And along this stretch of road, along Jackson Avenue, heading to Target and big department stores, we know that there tend to be a lot of side foods. But my cooking now is a bit different. I'm just going to show you some very basic stir-fry dishes, not elaborate recipes. The key thing is ginger garlic into hot oil like a wok. That's my first dish. That's it. That's baby pakchoi, people. That's all. Purely vegan, purely vegetarian. In 2 minutes the magic happens. It wilts. You put a little bit of salt, black pepper, and it's all over. You could of course put chili, you could put stir-fry sauces, even soy sauce and sesame oil on it, but I like it in a very kind of plain way. I like to eat it with plain rice, with noodles. It goes well with as well, but I prefer it with rice, and you can have a dipping sauce if you so desire, right? But this is like my favorite Chinese vegetable, baby lettuce. Do not try to cook the big lettuce the same way, even if you chop it up. It's not going to have the desired consistency and taste. There's a kind of pungent aroma that comes out of the pakchoi, the baby pakchoi, that is very pleasant. It might be an acquired taste, but I like it. Again, you could put maybe chili paste in this, you could put hoisin sauce in this, you could put soy sauce and sesame oil. My shiitake was simply stir-fried with purple onions for caramelization. That's it. And I put a little bit of chopped escallion at the end. Then for my grand finale, my Thai veg green curry, garlic, ginger, onion in the beginning. Garlic, ginger, onion goes in. No chili. I didn't want heat. Then I added my usual suspect of vegetables, Chinese vegetables. I put in baby corn, capsicum, carrots. You could also put some tofu in. My dietary Hindu sattvic practices do not allow me to use shrimp paste, and I'm comfortable using a vegetarian alternative that simply has a kind of ginger or galangal, onions, definitely Thai green chili, and fever grass or lemongrass, and that's my paste. That's my paste that I pour in, and eventually I'm just going to toss this around and add coconut milk, and that will be my version of a green curry. To create heat in the Thai veg green curry, you could use pure Thai chili peppers, which I do not recommend many of because they're ridiculously strong. You could put higher concentrations of escallion or spring onions. You could put different versions of mushroom like shiitake. And you could put a lot more tofu, but I wanted a very basic stir fry that is economical. And these are ingredients that you could get even in Caribbean groceries. Baby corn you could replace even with the kernel. So you do not need to buy the actual baby corn in the cans. You could use water chestnut if you have in the cans, or fresh water chestnut. Alternatively, you could just use corn chipped up. You could use carrots, which we have in the Caribbean. Any version of a green kind of bean, like same body, could be chipped up. You could really creolize your dish. And definitely capsicum I find goes well with the dish, and here goes the coconut milk. Do not make the mistake of placing heavy cream or any kind of cream or yogurt with this Thai kind of mix. It's not going to work well together. This is, classic Thai cuisine using coconut milk, very reminiscent of South Indian and Sri Lankan techniques in cooking, where coconut milk is oftentimes used in curries. And again, the flavor of this bold curry comes from the green chili and the fever grass or lemongrass. Go figure. I do not use heavy cream. I do not use yogurt. It has to be coconut milk. Coconut milk is popularly used in South Indian, Sri Lankan, Indonesian cuisine. So you could see all these countries with common latitude tend to have a heavy usage of spices that are toned down with the sweetness of the coconut flavor. I don't like a soup-like consistency in my dish, which is why it was made with viscosity. And here I am going back to the center. So the Christmas tree still stands tall and proud in East Asia in the West. Purab or Pashchin. East meets the West. And I thought this was only happening in India. It happens with the Asian communities as well. Bye-bye, Chalgayo. My next trip will be to Jackson Heights, Roosevelt Avenue for Indian cuisine and subcontinental shopping. So I hope you enjoy it. See you soon. Fir milenge. Arrivederci. Khudafiz.